There's a feeling I get sometimes when I'm interacting with a game or a movie or a book when I get so invested in what's going on that my body kind of goes in autopilot. I stop thinking about the fact that I'm playing a game or watching a movie or whatever, and I just sort of zone everything out except for the scene that's playing out in front of me. The feeling rarely comes and usually passes quickly, but whenever it does, it's deeply satisfying. Night in the Woods is a game that gave me this feeling on multiple occasions. Night in the Woods is a story-focused game, or a walking simulator if you want to be one of those people. The game follows Mae Borowski, a recent college dropout who moves back into her small hometown without much of a plan. She's just figuring things out. She spends her time reconnecting with old friends and family and seeing the way their town has simultaneously changed and stayed the same. There are a ton of side characters, but the focus is on Mae's core friend group. This includes Greg, Mae's troublemaker and hyperactive bestie that works at a convenience store and loves to commit crimes. Greg's boyfriend Angus is a lovable teddy bear, literally, who works at the video store and is generally a warm, soft-spoken, and pleasant dude. Finally, B is Mae's best friend from childhood, but the two have drifted apart, and they enter the game with a bit of tension and unease. B works at her dad's hardware store, and she basically has to run the store completely by herself without any help. Night in the Woods was able to capture the feeling of being in your early 20s and having no clue what you're doing with your life. As someone in his early 20s with no clue what he's doing with his life, I should know. Since graduating college, I found myself in an exhausting mental cycle of highs and lows. Some days it feels like my opportunities are endless. I feel the positive side of still being young. I feel like I can try new things without worry because I have time, and I feel like there's a great opportunity to steer my life in whatever direction I choose. I feel creatively charged, accomplished, and overall, great. Then, other days, I feel like I've accomplished nothing. Like I'm wasting my time and that if I don't get my life in order soon, it's all gonna come crashing down. These two feelings will fluctuate back and forth constantly, and I feel like a lot of it is caused by the people I'm around. Though we all wish we didn't, it's no secret that most people compare themselves to others all the time. When I look at other people my age, I see some that seem to have their life far more figured out than I do. They have steady and rewarding jobs, clear goals, healthy relationships, and generally they make me feel like I'm 3 steps back. At the same time, I look at other people my age and see them in far worse situations than myself. Many with little experience, some with addictions, unhealthy relationships, or just a lack of maturity. It's hard to push these things out of your mind, and it can make you feel very unsure about yourself. This is the sort of feeling that Night in the Woods captures so perfectly, and it's a huge reason it resonated with me so much. In one section, you'll hang out with Greg, you'll goof off, smash light bulbs, and generally feel like wild young kids that can do whatever they want. Then, you'll spend time with B, who is so beaten down by her job, bills, taking care of her father, and staying afloat financially that she doesn't really have time to even focus on her own happiness. You'll talk to Mae's mom about how they might lose the house, and then immediately walk down the street and hear some goofy poem about hot dogs from Selmer's. It's this back and forth that really spoke to my current situation. You'll have some people saying, "You're young, go have fun, you have all the time in the world." And then you'll have others who resent you for your lack of responsibility. Neither are necessarily wrong, everyone's just coming from a different place in their life. Of course, the real answer is that you need to figure things out for yourself and at your own pace. But for Mae and for me, it's easier said than done. We're both working on it. One of the central pillars that makes the characters in Night in the Woods truly come to life is the incredible writing. I often applaud games like Firewatch or Life is Strange for having well-written characters that you feel like you really know by the end. While I still think these are great, they don't quite stand up to Night in the Woods, at least not when it comes to dialogue. There is a lot of dialogue packed into Night in the Woods, but it never really felt like a chore to click through. The text is simplistic, and everyone talks in short text blurbs. Also, a lot of the dialogue is just simple interactions with the same characters that happen to be in May's walk through town. However, these simple little stories are the backbone of our ability to connect to Possum Springs and to May as a character. As May walks through town, she runs into people she likes, people she hates, people who she has fond memories of, people who bring her pain, people who've changed, people who are just the way she remembers them. Through all these small encounters, you slowly piece together May's personality, her history, and the identity of Possum Springs. Even the simple interactions between May and her friends feel like they're important for establishing the world. And these simple moments make the heavy hitters that much more impactful. Take Selmers, May's neighbor who was a former drug addict and got in trouble for stealing painkillers from the pharmacy she worked at. At the start of the game, Selmers has come clean through rehab and she's picked up a hobby of writing poetry. Every time you pass by her, she offers to share her poetry with you. It's usually pretty corny and weird, but you humor her anyway because it seems like something she enjoys. You give her support every day because she's your friend, not necessarily because she's a good poet. And just when you think you have Selmers figured out, you get the scene when she's reading to her poetry group. Then she recites a beautiful and emotional poem about inequality, her lost dreams for her life, and the anger she harbors. It hits you like a truck, because the game has set your expectations through the repetitive day-to-day cycle you're going through. You expect it to be the same as it was all the times before, but this time you see a new side of Selmers, and the player and May are both left to ponder their own preconceptions. It's clear that the devs behind Night in the Woods have passion behind their work. While the town I've grown up in isn't quite as small as Possum Springs, it still has many of the qualities of a small town. Qualities that Night in the Woods perfectly captures. The closed down grocery store that's empty building is wasting away, the tight-knit community of people who all know each other, everyone losing their minds over a new taco place, and even the huge focus on the town church. It all feels authentic and familiar. It's a setting that I've never really seen explored in games, and I'm sure a lot of people who play this game from bigger cities wouldn't fully understand. I really appreciate it. The landmarks in town, the personalities, the battle between the desire to break away and the draw to stay in your familiar hometown, it's all very familiar to me. While I won't even pretend to fully understand the ending of this game, Night in the Woods is a game that, for the most part, stays grounded and honest. There aren't grandiose plots and journeys, there's not even really much gameplay. Instead, the team focused on making characters that are interesting because they're honest and real. Even when the game is tackling tough issues like anxiety and depression, it does so in an honest and respectful way. It feels like it's coming from people who understand because they've lived it. As someone who deals with a fair amount of anxiety, it felt like some parts of Night in the Woods was directly taking from my real emotions and feelings, even some that I don't even really talk about very much. I don't know if these are real things that the Night in the Woods devs have experienced or if they're just really good writers, but either way, they were able to really connect to my personal experiences and my anxieties and the things that stress me out. And it was really nice to see that presented so well in a beautiful and captivating game. And I think that art that connects to the struggles and emotions that you're feeling can go a long way to helping you overcome them. And for that, I'm truly grateful to Night in the Woods. Night in the Woods is a great game that I would recommend to just about anyone. It's an awesome slice of life about the awkwardness, the fun, the pain, and all the other words that can be used to describe being in your early 20s. All of us transition into adulthood at different paces and in different ways. It can be hard to make sense of it all, and even harder to be a good friend during these times. And sometimes we're gonna screw it up, and that's okay. The world sucks. Sometimes it doesn't, but it usually does, and that's okay. I'm still gonna get up and give it my best shot. To sum up my rambling, I love Night in the Woods.